Kamal sir, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you with us on the Quint. I must say that it's good to see you all hale and hearty after your recovery from COVID. I just want to first start off by asking you, were you surprised when you tested positive when you returned from the US?
My problem, every test was apprehension. I was willing to be surprised. So every time it was with apprehension that I approach. I have to do it almost every week because I appear on Big Boss. So I have to do that. Not only me, all my team has to test every week.
Right, right.
It's a nose wrinkling process, but we have to do it in the sense we suffer through it. I mean, with 6 degrees of separation, we have seen people go to the hospital, and we're shocked. Sometimes a makeup assistant will get it, a car driver. We have to keep the vigil. I've been going out for the political meets, and during the rain, I was forced because everybody was suffering it. I was to go out and see what was happening to my co-inhabitants of this metropolis. And it was a miserable sight, and we had to go sometimes in hip-deep water, knee-deep water, and it's sewage and rainwater all mixed together. Every day evening, I would think of having a COVID test, but then the doctor said, "You only had it recently, so we'll wait." And I seem to have weathered well with those things, but unfortunately, even in Chicago, 8 hours later, when I traveled in the flight and landed, I had COVID.
Okay.
So I really don't know where else it is, because after the test results, 8 hours later, I was traveling. And that was the night. So I was resting. So we really don't know. It's only thing is, I don't know whether to console myself that it didn't happen in the areas where the poor live in a bad environment. Nothing happened to me. And in a place like Chicago or Dubai, I don't know. It was a bit too crowded. The protocol was not followed in America. I think that America is a little too careless because they're very sure of the medication and science, which is closer to them. And our being wary of these things is good, because we might withstand the third wave if there is one. Because we have this, and it's not spooking the people, but actually telling them to tell them, don't ridicule the idea of COVID and say, yeah, it's come, it's gone, and there's nothing called COVID. Don't say all that. And just live with it for the moment. Be careful. And so we don't know how long COVID is going to take, but we'll have to be equally careful as we were of smallpox and chickenpox.
Right. So your visit to Chicago was, of course, for the launch of KH, House of Khadi, Khadi clothing line. We are wondering, between films, politics, and social work, where will Kamal Haasan find the time? But you've gone ahead and launched a fashion line of sorts. What was the thought behind House of Khadi?
I have the time to do whatever is my passion and vision. And as far as Qadar is concerned, it's a part of a business I'm involved in. Many actors are involved in various other businesses. And I'm very concerned the way the government has raised the taxes on these kind of unorganized workers like we were clients. So this kind of taxation is going to help the Western corporate companies, textile companies, and not our Indian weavers. I don't want our weavers sitting in Delhi like our farmers. Khadi or Kamal Haasan House of Khadi has no connections to politics. It has. This is my politics that I'm talking about. The taxation itself is bad politics, which I want our weavers not to suffer.
So I believe there is also an emotional connection with Khadi that you have because your father used to wear only clothes made of Khadi.
Yes, he sold off all his foreign made cars. He made his life simpler and simpler. He was 24-year-old man when he made that decision to sell away his. So my brothers enjoyed all the fun of having many cars, and they were great mechanics. By the time I came, my father had become frugal congressman, so I never enjoyed any of those things. So there was a little chagrin for me. That's my chagrin. So whenever people visited the house, they always used to ask my father, who is the head of the family? I'd like to meet him. He would humbly say that it's me. So he always looked like a person working in the house than owning the house. Because other fathers were extremely well dressed, and mine wore this khadi, and that too not a great looking color. It is a mix between khaki and saffron. That's how the color looked. But so I looked at the uh, that. Then when he was on his deathbed, was probably my full reckoning of the man. I've never seen you in silk clothes. Shall I get you silk for this Diwali? Because I'll be very happy that I clothed my father in silk. And he said, oh, you become that rich. I'll tell you the number who need to be dressed in silk. Then you'll realize you're poor. There are so many people who need that silk and they can't afford it. I'm a representative. Let me die the way I have chosen. This is my path. Buy silk for 50 million people. Then buy me silk terline. Whatever you want to buy, I'll wear it. The idea is it's a symbol for the people. This is the only thing that I could send out a message to the nation that we are willing to participate in the building of the nation. So I am building it still because you have not taken the responsibility. So we are still at work. It's work, and you don't seem to realize that you want to graduate to silk and terline and foreign-made clothes. Then the argument stopped there because I was moved. And he went to court in Khada suits. I'm sure that there were many lawyers who were doing that all around India. So I thought that we could make another statement. Because Gandhi's statement about Khadi is international. And we should pursue that line. That is why my tagline is fashion is civil, yet disobedient.
Right.
It never obeys to the law of my fathers or forefathers. It suddenly wears a bikini, which my father wouldn't approve of. That way, I brought about the memory of civil disobedience also. And civil disobedience is nothing new to Americans because Thoreau came up with a theory of civil disobedience. But the practitioners of that theory were Indians.
So you also started this line of fragrances or perfumes. So what was the significance of naming it Memoir, and what kind of sense would we see under that brand?
For me, perfume is what makes me happy. It's for myself. When I bought perfumes, I never got perfumes which were just loud or hid my perspiration. And we were perfumers. I'm talking about, when I say we, I'm talking about the Middle East, the cradle of civilization. They had perfumes even before Rome could think of it. Rome didn't have a sewage system, didn't have a garbage disposal system. It was sticky, most of the stench coming from the blood they were shedding. And so they needed perfumes, and the best of the perfumes were made in the Middle East. And even there, they came up with the idea of emotions that puts you in a mood. Even across religion, those perfumes work. You find that oud in a church, oud in a Ganpati temple.
Right.
The smell, because the batis that you make is made out of that is national and even international. For me, It reminded me of my infancy, my mother, certain perfumes. Certain perfumes, I used to be a very religious kid as a child.
Okay.
And I like a walk in the jungle. And I want to always continue learning. All my perfumes are named after these great places that I have a memory of. My perfumes, even before the advent of KH perfume, the kind of perfumes I used brought about memories rather than just smell.